Hey there. This episode and this show and this network are all supported by our backers at patreon.com/Duckfeed.tv. We have some changes coming down the way here in June or so keep your eyes peeled to that space. But if you want to go and back us now, that'd be pretty cool too. Once again, that is patreon.com/Duckfeed.tv.
Some of our landings were desperate adventures. We are now prepared to meet the inevitable counterattacks with power and with confidence.
My name is Gary Butterfield.
My name is Kole Ross.
And you're listening to Bonfireside Chat. It's Senpai's favorite appendix.
Yep, and this week we are reading your responses to Let It Die. Thank you, everybody, for writing in. It was looking a little dire there until we made a last-minute call.
Let it dire. And thank you to Brad.
Yes.
Brad Galloway for joining us for the first part of this. He is not with us today. He didn't die, but he's not with us in this recording session because we're recording this at a later time because we did not have enough responses.
Yeah.
As alluded to. But we put out the call and we got some more. And we're going to go ahead and get started. I'll get us started here with Brett. Brett says via contact, I'm torn on my opinion of Let It Die. On the one hand, it's a free-to-play microtransaction model, and that's a big turnoff for me. Nothing can so quickly kill my interest in a game than to learn that it has microtransactions. On the other hand, I find something oddly intriguing in its presentation. I find Uncle Death strangely endearing, barely walking the line between actually cool in a dorky way, and Steve Buscemi's "How do you do, fellow kids?" cool. The atmosphere is dark and foreboding, and the whole game has a feel of Condemned mixed with Dark Souls. Overall, I really like the presentation of this game, and I just wish it wasn't bogged down by the standard free-to-play practices.
Yeah, we talked about it in the episode itself, but the free-to-play stuff didn't bother us as much.
No, while still I still don't love this game. The free-to-play stuff wasn't the reason, you know.
Yeah.
And my understanding is that becomes more of a thing a little bit later.
Oh yeah.
So,
especially especially when resurrections start costing more, stuff like that. Yeah, like that. There's a definite point where they're just setting up Pyrrhic victories for you.
Yeah. But it this kind of speaks to that the psychological, not intimidation is the word I was looking for, but that's not right. Like just the approaching a game and knowing it has this stuff even in the wings can be a huge turnoff.
Yeah. Also, good.
Or no, please continue. Sorry to cut you off.
I was gonna say this is the first time in a very long time I've seen somebody reference Condemned.
Oh sure.
Yeah.
Somebody was talking about it in the Slack recently. I always get that confused with Manhunt.
Oh yeah. They kind of came out in a similar time, and they also have they come across. I'm going to use a word here that I don't normally use. They come across kind of bum fighty.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
Isn't one of them literally about hunting down bums for sport?
I don't know. I think Manhunt. I know in Condemned you are fighting homeless people or people.
I think the bum genie's already out of the bottle.
Yeah.
Not in a proctology kind of way. In just a where I said it.
Okay,
so.
Yeah. It's just in the way that it's presented. You are fighting an awful lot of what appears to be mentally ill homeless people.
It's not great.
No.
That seems seems misguided to me.
Yeah, they're being driven crazy by bird magic. And I am not kidding you.
Yeah. What's the furthest you've ever got, or the most you went deep on a free to play microtransaction game?
The most I've spent on one was Super Stickman Golf, but that wasn't out of necessity. I just decided, hey, this developer has earned $20 of my dollars because I like this game an awful lot. I played a good deal of Plants vs. Zombies 2, but it just didn't hold my interest, and I didn't engage with the free to play stuff on that. Like I didn't buy the coins to unlock the extra plants and stuff. Yeah.
I don't think I've ever really paid for a free to play game. Other than I've done the ones where it's free to play, but pay some money to get rid of the ads.
Oh yeah,
that's like a demo.
Yeah.
But the most I've played one was Plants vs. Zombies 2, which I think is very similar in kind of value proposition before you get to the paywall as this game.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because you can play a lot of Plants vs. Zombies 2 without paying any cash.
Yeah.
Like it's pretty kind. But then once it gets bad, like it gets real bad.
Yeah.
And stays bad because it's continuously being updated. So it's like they've probably added, 5 different worlds since I stopped playing it.
Oh yeah.
5 to 8 different worlds, and all of them are past the limit of like I would need money to continue.
Yeah, for sure. Also, I would love to have kept that game on my phone so I could, just go in and mess around with it. However, every time I turned off its notifications, I turned them back on. So like every so like Arbor Day. Get these celebrate your plants with Arbor Day.
It's Casimir Pulaski's Zombie Jamboree.
Yeah. Pretty much. Yeah, so I had to get rid of that one. I've definitely been put off by some of these mechanics, like the triple triad thing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, in that weird, I don't even know what it is, that Final Fantasy Portal app. And then running into like energy limits on Final Fantasy Record Keeper. Yeah.
The that triple triad game was a really interesting, because eventually we'll do Final Fantasy VIII or Watch Out for Fireballs, and like the amazing thing about that is I realized that without the metagame kind of around it.
Oh yeah.
Like I don't like triple triad that much. When I was younger, I used to fantasize because they have in Japan they made card sets of it.
Yes.
And they're really expensive on eBay, but I thought about like buying them. I was like, that'd be really fun to have a set.
Yeah.
And play with people, and then realized like, no, it wouldn't. The reason that's so fun in Final Fantasy VIII is not the actual mechanics of that game. It's going, finding the people who have the rare stuff, and then, having the context where it's like, oh, I can convert this card to like a really powerful character ability.
Yeah.
It's actually the way the mini game intersects with the main game that make it good.
Yeah. So. I would still very much like to have a Tonberry triple triad card though.
It would be cool just to have it as a collector's item, even a set. Like if they reproduced like, a set and just made them like not tournament legal or whatever. So they'd be cheap like they do with Magic cards every once in a while. They give them weird backs. If they did that, then I would be like all over just having a set just to have a weird artifact from that game.
Yeah. Yep. Gabriel writes, I love Suda. I love Souls. I love Uncle Death. I love Uncle Death and the entire style of this game. But I only played about an hour of it because it's maybe the most overwhelming game that I have ever played. It dumps system on top of system on top of system with no respite. By the end of the tutorial, the only thing I really learned from it was that I didn't have it in me to put in the effort to play the game. I really, really hope that as a free-to-play thing, it gets an overhaul at some point and makes the experience of starting the game into a hill instead of a cliff.
Yeah. I mean, it's really overwhelming. And it also doesn't, to get to the tutorials and stuff that you missed, they're all presented in this kind of text menu. I put it down for a long time. I did more or less the same thing and just like, was like, oh, this isn't hooking me immediately. I'll play it for the show. Put it down for several months, and you can't watch like the opening cutscenes again. You can't start a new game with this. You can't, and if you want to do the tutorials, like they have to be little, in this menu form. Yeah. That is, kind of odious to navigate.
Yeah, so it's kind of hard to like school book.
Yeah. So it's hard to get it all in the way that you originally get it. So if you don't pick up all that kind of stuff from the beginning, it's kind of gone.
Yeah. Yeah. And we're going to run into similar things with Neo, actually.
Yeah. Neo is also system bloat, the game.
Yeah.
So it is, it's system bloat month. So yeah, no good. Patrick says via contact, I didn't end up getting much further into this game than the point where the asynchronous multiplayer raids unlock. If it weren't for the end of 2016 and the beginning of 2017 being loaded with great games, I might have spent more time with it. I've heard that most of the great character and the great character Uncle Death was front-loaded, and the gameplay ended up being kind of boring after a certain point, so I don't feel like I missed out on much. But if there was a reason for me to go back to it, it would be to see whatever ridiculous boss design Suda saved for the later stages. Still, for as much of a flash in the pan as it was for me, I'll never forget this game, nor the skateboarding Grim Reaper with the impeccable accent.
Yeah. It's, I mean, like the designs and the stories are kind of cool, but like the fights themselves are just versions of the mini bosses. So like you couldn't be blamed for doing like we did and going onto YouTube and checking out the content stuff, right?
Yeah, 100%. Like there's not a whole lot of variety in the boss fights.
Yeah.
Like if you fought the mini bosses. I mean, I guess like in that point, he, by the time he noped out, he had not seen the mini bosses either.
Yeah.
So, then they're kind of cool looking.
Mm-hmm.
But that's about it.
Yeah, I think that he probably just got to Cohen, actually.
Yeah, he's a little bit past Cohen.
Yeah.
If he quit where the asynchronous multiplayer stuff happened.
Yeah.
He could be up to like the second Cohen. like around there. But like he's not too much further than that.
Yeah.
So but that's good because the second mini boss is a nightmare. like is super unfair and shitty. So
yeah. I should have kept track of how many death medals I put into that.
Yeah, so you can tax deduct it. Yeah.
Rich writes via contact, it's been a long time since I last picked up Let It Die, but while I love the style, almost all of the stuff outside of the levels and even a few of the good things, and even a few of the things in the levels, I think I've started to come around to the fact that it just isn't all that good. The levels are plain ugly, at least until after the first boss, after which there are more open urban hellscapes that provide relief from 10 floors of sewage. The difficulty curve means constantly building new characters from scratch or grinding for gold to regain characters that you lost with all of their inventory intact. The lack of real PvP is also pretty disappointing. Base invasions are extremely easy even for a low-level character, and having a chance to fight a real person would be a welcome change to the relatively simple AI.
We didn't talk about this too much when we did the episode, but I was thinking about it after we recorded. Mm-hmm. You couldn't really do PvP in this game because of kind of how, if you're going to tie like that much of your moveset into level progression, you couldn't really do it, I feel like.
Yeah.
Because it's tied to weapon progression, not character progression. So and because of the weapons being degradable. So even if my character and your character are both 10th level or what have you, and you have totally mastered the katana, if my character is on level 2 of the iron, I just won't have a verb set.
No.
So I don't think it'd be very hard to make characters evenly matched because of that separate kind of factor.
Yeah, they would run circles around you.
Yeah.
I wonder if that happens with the with the haters though. Like if those characters keep the weapon mastery level that they had.
I believe so.
I didn't get far enough to actually notice that being a factor, I guess.
Yeah.
But then again, I also didn't know that I could unlock different moves. I didn't know I could turn the iron into a flamethrower.
For sure. And that just kind of speaks to, again, that's as much as it was good to know that stuff happened, it doesn't mean it's not a problem that doesn't happen earlier on.
Right.
Is kind of where I came away from it. Derek says, via contact, I would say people should play through at least floor 10 and watch all the cutscenes on YouTube later, because Let It Die has a lot of personality. The fighting mechanics are fine. Really, the problems stem from the game, from being a game short of content that is stretched too long by the free-to-play model. The Dark Souls model punishes a death by sending you back to a checkpoint and maybe grinding to get your souls back, whereas the Let It Die free-to-play model punishes death by sending you back home, grinding to get back to a checkpoint, and then grinding on top of that to get your souls back. If the Bloodborne Chalice dungeons had Uncle Death and the bosses from Let It Die, I would have been happy. Or if Let It Die only punished grinding with grinding and not with double grinding. Yeah.
So below Lost Eyes, down there in the deepest Thumerian depths, you open up one strangely neon-colored casket, and out comes
skateboarding. Yeah. I mean, I know I mentioned this when we wrapped up on Fireside Chat, but it reminds me of me and Will goofing about getting to the end of the Ring City and having the Throne of Skulls, and you turn around and it's the Riddler there. And he's just, profane flame. I don't think so. Chosen undead. And just, and then just credits with super dramatic Dark Souls music. But I wonder if so I don't think From's done anything that isn't pretty deathly serious, right?
Metal Wolf Chaos.
Well, Metal Wolf Chaos is goofy for sure. I guess that's the closest thing, but that's really a blip.
Yeah.
Because Eternal Ring and the other one that Evergrace are less serious than Dark Souls, but they're pretty stock fantasy.
Yeah.
I wonder what it'd be if From leaned, because those games can be funny. I wonder what it'd be if they leaned into their sense of humor. It wouldn't be like this, but like I wonder if that would be good.
Yeah. I mean, Dark Souls is good when it's funny.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know. It's hard for games to be funny. That's that is the sad thing about it.
Yeah. Agreed. Yeah. I'm sure you have started playing this. I started playing Thimbleweed Park.
God, I have not started playing it. I've been just neck deep in assignment stuff.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
It's very funny.
Yeah.
Like, it's one of the funnier games I played. So,
awesome. Yeah. No, that's good to hear.
Yeah. It's up your alley.
Yeah. Nice. Into it. I also want to hear my hear the answering machine message.
I looked it up on YouTube.
You did?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. Somebody took the entire phone book and all the answering machine messages and loaded them all up as a video. Each letter of the alphabet is a video. and I found it because I found you in the phone book, and then I looked it up.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah.
No, that's I don't normally geek out about that stuff, but it's cool that I'm in that game.
It's super cool. It makes me wish I had done it because I just back to the get the game level.
Yeah.
I was so like in the weeds on Kickstarters at that moment, or it just like felt like I had some of them had gone through, but I was just like, man, I got a lot of money wrapped up in Kickstarters. This feels bad.
Yeah. I've got all this money wrapped up in Kickstarters. Both of the ones that I backed at the highest are going to come out in the same week, and I'm not going to be able to play them. Fuck.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
So it ended up working out, but I think I'm better. I'm at a place in my life now where I can go back and kind of selectively back some stuff. But at the time, and maybe get some cool rewards. But at the time, even though that's a super cool reward, I just can't do it.
Yeah. Robin writes, for the most part, I enjoyed the time that I spent playing Let It Die. I only made it to the 30th or so floor, so I never really got to the end game, so most of my perspective is from the earlier stages. My dude, 30th is almost all the way through. Back to Robin's response. I really liked the moment-to-moment gameplay, the feeling of constant progression with weapon experience, and the overall aesthetic combination of whimsy. Being a free-to-play game definitely brought up some of the issues that I had with the game, however. The inventory space always felt cramped, especially with the free gifts of high-end crafting materials, and the difficulty curve felt pretty uneven. Ultimately, I drifted away from the game, and while I never spent any money on it, I never felt like I was wasting my time playing.
Yeah. It doesn't feel like a waste, to me.
No,
it's just,
no.
I mean, it's as we mentioned in the episode, it's just like you have to be you have to be into those loops.
Yeah.
Those concentric rings of each of those individual rings has to work for you, I think.
Yeah. The expanded inventory has to be the best perk that you get out of the Express Pass or whatever. If you are planning to just I'm going to dump 40 hours into this over the course of a month, there are probably worse ways to spend $15 if you like the game. Otherwise, you're going to be No Man's Skying it and just constantly hitting your head.
And that's what I was doing, and it sucked.
Yeah.
It was just dealing with, because what it meant was, and it almost made a cool risk reward where it was do I care about surviving this run, or do I care about getting some crafting materials and bringing them back?
Right.
But then I realized I don't care about crafting materials because I don't care about crafting materials. Something else, I don't think we mentioned this in the game, and I wish I had brought it up when we did the episode, because I wonder if Brad has an answer for this. I know, is there a way, and you might know this, and you might not, to know what blueprints you have back in your storage bin when you're out in the world?
I don't know.
Because I kept seeing a crafting material, being do I want this or not? Is this going to help me make something now, or is this just going to junk up my pitiful inventory?
Yeah.
For a time. So that would have been a nice ease of use thing. I think.
Just to have the name show in a different color depending on if you need it or not. Yeah.
Or you could tag things. That's how Fallout 4 does it.
Oh yeah.
And it's it's really useful.
Mm-hmm.
So Connor says via contact. Okay, so I hadn't even heard of this before the previous Bonfire Side chat. I downloaded it with guarded expectations and gave it a whirl so I know what you're talking about, and found a game somewhere around par for what the Souls-like genre seems intent on offering up. An approximation of the Dark Souls combat engine, difficulty that more often than not errs on the side of too difficult, and not enough story to flesh out a motivation to continue. That said, the game made me reflect on two things. First, anime.
No!
It's in all caps, that's why I said it like that. I'm not averse to it. There are very good ones out there. The problem I have with the majority of them is the overly expressive body language and the embarrassing need to be cool, which inevitably dissolves anything that might actually be cool about it. Uncle Death is the embodiment of this. I like his design and the quirky shades and the skateboard is endearing. Then he speaks and then he begins gesticulating and the illusion is shattered. Less is more anime, dear God. The second thing this caused me to reflect upon was something you have both lighted upon many times. Developers either don't know what really makes Soulsborne games special or are fixated on the wrong component of its design. People dig difficulty now, so I understand their desire to cater to that. But you have both spelled out in great detail how the mechanics and storytelling, or the mechanics of storytelling work, how the world articulates. Is it so hard to incorporate those things as well? Predicating a game's system solely around a single aspect is like building a clock and deciding that this one cog is cool enough on its own, and it shouldn't have to connect to anything else to make the rest function. Yeah, I mean, well said. For where I got in Let It Die, the difficulty wasn't the thing that turned me off of it.
Right.
You know, but my understanding, so in the previous response when Robin said he got to floor 30, my understanding is like floors 30 through 40 are like nightmares.
Yeah.
You know, like people on our Slack were like, hey, did you guys talk about how shitty the game gets at the end? I was like, no, not really. We kind of talked about it, but
yeah,
you know. But yeah, that's something that definitely happens for sure. And I wouldn't put it past Let It Die to get to that. You know, I just didn't get there.
Right. Right.
And it's weird to me because like Uncle Death works for me, but that aspect of anime you're talking about is like one of the suite of things I don't like about like anime very much. Is that kind of like over?
I think what you mean is anime style cartoons and products exhibiting a certain set of tropes.
Thank you. Like, I need to watch out. Yes, like let's do a quick asterisk and do like a quick half hour. Let's do the footnotes on when I say this. So because my time has no value, and I need to make sure I do that, or else piss off the anime people. But that's something that I don't like either. It didn't bother me with Uncle Death, but might have bothered me if he was like just a dude,
and also if he was around more.
That's true too. It's like super small doses.
Yeah.
If he was the main character, I don't know whether I would like an Let It Die anime. You know?
Yeah. This is something we talk about occasionally on the level, because I will talk about liking something that has a certain kind of anime style to it, either a Persona game or Steins Gate or something like that. And Jala, who has a long history with anime, like will play and look at the same thing and say like, yeah, that just didn't do anything. That didn't do anything for me. I think it's stupid. Like, okay, well, you like anime and you've liked it a lot in the past. And what you realized is, it's just antibodies. She was exposed to it much earlier, and so she's seen the patterns and knows it. Whereas I am somebody who really doesn't pay attention to this stuff. And when I see like a cool version of a thing that is presented in a way, in a context where I can be like, yeah, here's that. Like, I haven't gotten a chance to like get tired of it yet. Yeah,
it cuts both ways.
Yeah.
So you can be. I also noticed like when some of the things that I've talked about disliking. We should come up with a simple, really, really long acronym for anime and anime style products of certain types or whatever,
Yeah, certain types of anime products that exhibit particular tropes. Yeah.
Whenever I think about anapadip, I'll sometimes bring up like, yeah, it's real weird the way like every time a character says something, all the characters go, and react and do this really big, gasp. I don't like it. And people who are real big anime fans are just like, I didn't even notice that.
Yeah.
Because you do become inured to that kind of thing as just kind of a genre trope. It doesn't feel unnatural and weird to you.
Yeah.
So I can't wait for this conversation to get reduced into. I can't believe those guys said that all anime is people
blank.
Only overreacting to things.
Yeah.
But then went on to say that they like Uncle Death, who is the ultimate overreactor. So Senpai, reduce my point.
Yep. God damn it! So frustrating. But thank you, Connor. As for the second point, I just didn't read Let It Die as trying to do the same thing. Like there's just no story, and they wanted to focus on that loop and everything. Like that read to me like an intentional choice. Speaking of that choice, like the super difficulty thing, more kind of gameplay and preview stuff has come out from the Surge. Okay.
Or the Surge thing, and I guess the Surge is. Because Lord of the Fallen is not particularly difficult, at least as I recall. The Surge is supposed to be like really lean into that, which makes me really glad we didn't commit to covering it.
Yeah, we didn't pencil that into the schedule.
Yeah, I'll probably still try it.
Oh yeah,
at some point, but like I'm not like are you ready? You thought you felt challenged? Like I just never.
Nope.
So no thanks.
Yeah. I get off of this train here.
Yep.
I have ceased being willing to extend the benefit of a doubt anything that apes this particular pace and camera angle.
Yeah, like automatically.
Right.
You know, it's not like everything that does a space and camera angle is bad, but it doesn't mean it's good either.
Right. Yeah. That's what I mean. Yeah. Cameron writes, I really love the style and characters of this game. Something about Uncle Death being a skateboarding skeletal reaper. I about said rapper, which would also make sense. Really, what's that?
Well, I'd be okay with that.
Yeah. Something about that really works for me, and I enjoy the weirdness of the other characters. Unfortunately, the game itself falls a bit flat. I usually love loot-based roguelikes, but climbing the Tower of Barbs didn't really grip me as much as descending into Isaac's basement or exploring the Gungeon. Overall, I think the environments felt too samey, and the combat and weapon variety were just too limited to really let me dive into the game. At least I never felt compelled to participate in the game's microtransactions. They seem well done in that they're not obnoxiously shoved down your throats and don't offer anything truly game-breaking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah.
And for me, I like obviously like Isaac more. Like Isaac is in my top 5 games, like pretty easily. And then Gungeon, which I liked quite a bit. And that was just about liking the actual what I was doing with my hands.
Yeah.
You know, even if the progress was exactly the same, that wasn't as important to me as the moment to moment.
Yeah.
So I relate to that.
Gungeon sounds like such a filthy word.
Gungeon?
Yeah.
It's a lot like Gunga, or isn't that the name of the bad Star Wars things?
Wait. Yeah. Yeah, the Gungans. I think Jar Jar Binks is a Gungan.
Enter the Gungan.
Yes.
You know, it sounds like that.
Yeah, I think it's the Inj that gets me. That's the phoneme that really.
Unge. Yeah, I don't like unge either.
No.
Like it's like mung.
Yeah, no.
Unge. Mung.
I think we're gonna summon some kind of beast.
You're gonna
no, Ungemong, stop!
Ungemon. Ungemong. The less pleasant, like
gotta moist them all.
We're damp, we don't take shit. We're gonna get to the top of it. Ungemong. Mike says, by contact. It's difficult not to recommend Let It Die purely on the basis that it's a polished and feature-rich game available at absolutely no cost. There's nothing to lose by trying it and potentially a lot to gain, since I've heard people dumping over 200 hours into this thing. Having said that, while I'm a fan of Suda51 and his fingerprints are all over this game, I'm still not really sold on the idea of transplanting Souls-like combat into a roguelite title. As you guys have spent literally years explaining, the appeal of the Souls series isn't just in conquering brutal but balanced combat scenarios, but it's about exploring meticulously designed worlds and unearthing the lore that drapes context over the challenges you're faced with. Replace that with semi-randomized mazes of corridors, and you're missing a major hook. We saw that in Bloodborne's Chalice Dungeons, and I also played a Steam release called Necropolis that tried something similar and just felt like a slog. There's also the fact that Let It Die's combat is considerably more shallow than that of the Souls series, and its enemy and boss encounters are far less imaginative. So even though the game had that grasshopper charm that I was looking for, it didn't hold my attention for long. Credit where it's due, though. This is one of the few games that use weapon degradation in an engaging way. I hate it when games arbitrarily force me to run back to the blacksmith every now and then for routine repairs. But the weapons in Let It Die drop so frequently and break so quickly that the mechanic feels more like a survival element. Nothing lasts that long, and therefore players have to constantly adapt and perhaps even gamble with weapons they're not particularly comfortable with. Incidentally, I enjoyed the weapon degradation in Breath of the Wild for similar reasons. I like that weapon degradation too. I know it drives people crazy, but I like it.
Yeah, it's fine. I like catch as catch can. You know, I'm down for a survival thing.
Yeah. I wonder, Mike, if you haven't tried it and you have the stomach for it, you should try Shadow Tower, which is another interesting take on weapon degradation. Like you do have to go back to a blacksmith from time to time, but it doesn't feel like it does in Souls. Or
no, it's tied into another system. You're literally, what is it? You're restoring from your HP, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So,
more people should play Shadow Tower.
Absolutely.
That is one of the biggest takeaways. Like both that and Kingsfield 4 are games I've wanted to dip back into.
Yeah, they're real good. I mean, I have all the Kingsfield games now. Like I have to, by which I mean 1 and 2.
Right. Or by which you mean 2 and 3.
Yeah, 2 and 3. And then I've got one the patched ISO the translation. So like, eventually on my docket is to play through all those.
Nice.
Because like even the early, more primitive ones, I think there's something there, that's worth exploring. But 4 is definitely the most playable one.
Yeah.
For sure. And interesting, because I always wanted to try Necropolis. Necropolis is Harebrained Schemes. It's the people who did the Shadowrun Returns games, which are some of my favorite indies of like the last 5 years or whatever. And Necropolis is kind of interesting. Like it is a roguelike, Souls-like that kind of came before this did. But I never got a chance to try it. So.
Yep. Autoplay music on that site shouldn't be there.
Yeah, it shouldn't be.
It shouldn't be.
Yeah.
Huh. That's kind of interesting. Yeah.
So thanks everybody for responding. Sorry to press our thumbs on you and bully you into it to send hired goons. Crusher and Lobo.
Hired goons?
Yeah. Goons. Crusher and Lobo.
I'm on a Simpsons rewatch right now, and that's why I'm posting all those Frinkiac things.
Yeah. I've been doing that too, but the only DVD I haven't packed it is season 11. So
okay.
But thanks everybody for that. If you have things to say about Neo, and we know you do, hit us up at Duckfeed.tv/contact.
Yes. And you know the other stuff that you can do. Go to patreon.com/DuckFeed.tv. Consider kicking us a couple of bucks a month, and stick around. Like we have announced the end of the show, but we have lots of exciting stuff coming this summer, I suppose, and afterwards with WAF 2.0.
Oh, absolutely, yeah, it's all good stuff.
Yeah. So
welcome. Thank you for joining us, and if you have not joined us already, please join us.
Yeah,
it's all great.
Cool.
I think that's probably about it.
I think so.
No deleted scenes. We will just see you guys next week with Neo.
Yeah. Oh, and thanks again to Brad.
Oh, and yeah, thank you very much, Brad. Go check out his stuff at GameCritics.com and follow him on Twitter.
Yes.
Umbasa.
Umbasa.
And we all pray that we will have far more soon